Hello students, welcome to my channel Biology Foundation. This is part 6 of unit 3, structure and functions of a plant. So from part 1 to 5 in detail we have discussed about the root system and the shoot system, including the structure of the shoot, leaves, flowers, their functions, fruits, and in detail we have discussed about the two main steps of reproduction, that is pollination and fertilization. So in this video, let's summarize whatever we have learned in the entire unit 3 and solve few multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, true or false, and match the following. Okay. So plants have two systems, that is root system and shoot system. Root system is something which is it is that portion of the plant which is found underground or below the soil. In shoot system, it grows above the soil. There are two types of root system, taproot system and fibrous root system. Taproot system is mostly seen in dicots like your mango, neem, etc. Okay, fibrous root system is seen in monocots. Examples include rice, wheat, maize. What are the functions of the root? It fixes the plant to the soil. So basically, it helps in anchoring the plant to the soil and absorbs water and minerals from the soil. So roots play a very important role in absorption of water and minerals, and they fix the plant to the soil. In some plants, roots are modified to perform other functions like storage of food. Like if you remember, we talked about certain plants, like in certain plants like carrot, radish, there we have seen that the roots get swollen and they are the underground, there the roots get modified in order to store food, and we call them as tuberous roots, right? In carrots, turnip, dahlia, there you find usually tuberous roots where the roots store food material. They provide additional support to the plant. If you remember when we talked about the examples of banyan and maize, there the roots are modified to provide mechanical support to the plant. As seen in the case of banyan tree, we find prop roots, while in sugarcane and maize, stilt roots are found. And roots also help the plant in respiration. Usually, roots grow deep into the soil, they are present underground. But in some plants, the roots grow vertically upwards, and that such type of roots are called pneumatophores or breathing roots. And these roots are usually found in mangroves, which grow in marshy areas. Roots also help in absorbing more nutrients and water, as seen in case of money plant. Okay, money plant also has feeder roots that help in proper absorption of nutrients and water. So apart from normal function, primary function, roots also show these modifications. The aerial part of the plant, which grows upright above the soil from the plumule of the embryo, is called shoot system. So shoot develops from the plumule of the embryo, and if you remember, true roots develop from radicle of an embryo. The radicle gives rise to root and the plumule gives rise to the shoot. Now the shoot system can contain all of the following or any of the following. That means a shoot or stem can have all these parts. What parts? Leaves, buds, flowers, and root and fruits, or it may have any of this, like leaves, buds. May not the stem might not have flowers and fruits on it, or there might be leaves, buds, and fruits, and not flowers. Okay, but basically all these comprise shoot system because they are present above the soil. What are the functions of the shoot? It conducts minerals, conducts or transports. Okay, both mean the same. It transports minerals, water, and food to all parts of the plant. So the water and minerals which are absorbed by the root, they must reach to all parts of the plant. So stem helps in this. And even the food that is synthesized by the leaf must be transported to various parts of the plant. That is also in turn done by the shoot. Okay. In some plants, stems are modified to perform special functions such as making food. In certain plants, if you remember in opuntia, right, there the stem is green in color, and it prepares the food. Usually, leaves are the structures or organs in a plant that perform photosynthesis. But in some plants, the stems they modify to perform photosynthesis. Such stems we call them as phylloclades or cladodes, if you remember, right? Such specialized stems in Opuntia, we call them as phylloclades or cladodes that have developed or modified in order to perform photosynthesis. And in these plants, in Opuntia, the leaves are highly reduced into what? Spine-like spines, thorn-like structures, okay, spines. And in some members, the stem stores food. Best example is potato tubers. In potato tubers, the potatoes that we eat, which are the edible part, they are basically underground stems. Okay, not only potato, even the rhizome of ginger or the bulb of garlic, onion, all these basically store food. And stems also provide protection to the plant. How? In some members, the axillary buds they develop or get modified into thorns, and these thorns protect the plant from herbivores from grazing. Okay, so basically, thorns are modifications of the stem or the axillary bud, where these thorns are basically pointed, short, woody structures that protect the plant from herbivores. Coming to leaf, a leaf has green. Why is it green? Because of presence of chlorophyll pigment in it. Okay, so a leaf has a green flat lamina. What is lamina? It is basically the broad portion of the leaf, and it has a petiole. What is petiole? It is the stalk of a leaf. And those plants which don't have petiole, they are said to be sessile. Okay. The primary function of the leaf is to prepare food. That is to perform photosynthesis, wherein carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is liberated out. Right. The arrangement of veins and veinlets. Basically, veins are nothing but your vascular system of the leaves, which help in transport of food and water. Xylem helps in transport of water and phloem helps in transport of food. So the arrangement of veins and veinlets on the lamina of the leaf is called venation. There are two types of venation, parallel venation and reticulate venation. In case of parallel venation, you can see that the veins run parallelly. Okay. Whereas in reticulate venation, what happens? There is a network of veins, and these veins again divide into veinlets. Reticulate means net-like structure is formed. Parallel venation is seen most commonly in monocots, while reticulate venation is observed in dicots. And leaves can be simple or compound. A simple leaf, if you see the leaf lamina is not divided, okay, it is undivided. So a leaf with single undivided leaf blade or lamina or leaf blade both mean the same, okay, is called simple leaf. If the margins touch the midrib, okay, if you see something like this, then you can say it is a compound leaf where the margins are basically touching the midrib of the leaf and dividing the leaf into leaflets. And such a leaf is called as compound leaf. And in a compound leaf, this main axis we call it as rachis. Whereas in a simple leaf, this is called midrib. Okay. The leaf blade of a compound leaf is divided into several leaflets. The leaves are arranged on the stem in various ways. This is what we call it as phyllotaxy, arrangement of leaves on the stem. Now, the point where the leaf arises on the stem, that is called node. If the leaves arise alternately at the node and a single leaf is arising at each node, then it is called alternate phyllotaxy. If from each node two leaves are arising and they're opposite to each other, then you call it as opposite phyllotaxy. If from a single node many leaves are arising, okay, then you call it as world phyllotaxy. Okay, so leaves are arranged on the stem. That arrangement of the leaves on the stem is called as phyllotaxy. A stem may bear one leaf at each node, two leaves opposite to each other, as seen in mint, guava. Okay, this alternate phyllotaxy you can find it in hibiscus. Okay, then world phyllotaxy is also seen. Several leaves at each node is seen in oleander or nerium. Okay, leaves are modified. So main function of leaf is to perform photosynthesis, but in some plants there are certain modifications seen in the leaf where leaves are modified into leaf tendrils. This is seen in pea plant. Why? Because in pea plant the stem is very weak, so the leaves get modified into leaf tendrils. The leaf tendrils take support of other plants so that the pea plant can grow. Or the leaves can get modified into leaf spines as seen in xerophytes or opuntia to prevent water loss. Okay, thorn is basically modification of stem, auxiliary bud. Okay, here it's given wrong. Thorn is basically modification of stem, not leaf. Next, coming to flowers, which are considered to be the reproductive organs of a flower is the reproductive structure in a plant. So most flowers have four whorls. What are they? Calyx, outermost whorl, which consists of sepals. These are green leaf-like structures which protect the flower during the bud stage. Corolla is the next whorl, which consists of group of petals. Petals basically attract insects so that successful pollination can happen. The third whorl is androecium, which is basically a group of stamens. The stamens have a stalk known as filament, and the reproductive part or the fertile structure is the anther, because anther contains pollen grains in it, and inside the pollen grains you have two male gametes. Okay. And innermost whorl, outermost whorl is calyx, which is group of sepals, while the innermost whorl in a flower is gynoecium. Now, basically, this gynoecium uh, is group of carpels or pistils, and each pistil or carpel consists of ovary, style, and stigma. Right. So the male reproductive organ of a flower is the stamen. Female reproductive organ is the carpel or pistil. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma, that process is called pollination, and this must happen between same kind of plant or same species. That is must. Okay. And there are two types of pollination: self pollination. What is self pollination? When the pollen grains of an anther from a flower fall on the stigma of the same flower within the same plant, then it is called self pollination. Or when the pollen grains fall from one flower fall on another flower of the same plant, then it is called self pollination. Cross pollination is when the pollen grain from the anther of one flower falls on the stigma of another flower of different plant belonging to same species, then or same kind, then it is called cross pollination. And this pollination uh, requires some agents, because the male and female gametes are non-motile, they cannot move. So pollinators play a very important role in pollination. If insects are used for pollination or insects act as agents of pollination, then we use the term entomophily. Okay. If wind is acting as the agent of pollination, then the term used is anemophily. Water, hydrophily. Right. Next, pollination leads to fertilization. Yes, if there is successful pollination, then the pollen lands on the stigma and the pollen forms the pollen tube. In the pollen tube, the two male gametes reach the ovule, fuse with the egg to form a single celled zygote. So that process is called fertilization, where there is fusion of male and female gamete. After fertilization, what happens? The ovary develops into fruit. This is an important point. Ovary develops into fruit and the ovule develops into seeds after fertilization. And fruit is the ripened ovary, and fruit consists of what? Pericarp and seeds. If you remember, in some plants, this pericarp is divided into epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp, like in mango. Okay. And seeds contain what in them? They have cotyledons and embryo. Embryo is considered to be the baby plant, which later develops into the complete plant. And seeds have to be distributed or dispersed through various regions to prevent overcrowding and to see that the specific plant species occurs in various parts of the world. Okay. So seeds are also non-motile, they cannot move, therefore they require agents. So if wind is being used as an agent for seed dispersal, then we use the term anemochory. Okay. Water, then you use the term hydrochory. If animals are being used, zoochory, and sometimes plants can do it by themselves, then you call it as autochory without using any agents. Okay, just by explosion they release the seeds. That is called autochory. Okay, so this slide winds up the entire summary of unit three structure and functions of plants, where we began with the root system, modifications, types of roots. Then we discussed about the various organs of the shoot system, that is stem, leaves, flowers, fruits, and seeds. And seeds germinate only when there are favorable conditions. And during this germination of the seed, if you remember, a small structure develops first, which grows into the soil, that is the radicle. This radicle later gives rise to the root. And another structure develops above, that is called plumule, and plumule later gives rise to shoot. Roots that develop from radicle, they are considered to be true roots. But any other roots that develop from the base of the stem or any part of the plant, they are called as adventitious roots. Okay, roots that develop from any other part of the plant. Right? So now let's start solving few questions for better understanding of the concept. So first is fill in the blanks. The ends of primary or secondary roots have fine hair-like structures called, if you remember, when we talked about the taproot system here, it is broad, and at the ends it is very narrow, right? And sides there are secondary roots that develop, and these secondary roots again end in small hair like structures, which we call them as root hairs. Okay, fibrous roots are mostly seen in monocots. So any example of monocots can be given, like maize, rice, wheat. Okay. Dash fix the plant firmly to the soil. Roots. Right? Dash is an enlarged, roughly spherical shaped stem storing food. Stem which got modified to store food, and it is spherical. Tubers. Right? In potatoes, you can see that the stem gets modified to store food and they're spherical. You might say, ma'am, even in bulb and rhizome, the stem is modified to store food, but they are not spherical in shape. Here they're asking for spherically shaped stem that stores food. Okay. Region between two successive nodes of a stem. So basically, this is the stem, this is the root structure. We know the point where the leaves arise, they are called nodes. Distance between two nodes is called as internode. The region between two successive nodes of a system is called internode. Primary root is dash at its origin, broad at its origin, while very narrow at its tip. Dash are the additional roots that arise from the lower part of the stem and fix the plant firmly. Adventitious roots. Okay. Or sometimes you can even mention stilt roots. Even they arise from the base of the stem and provide mechanical support to the plant by firmly fixing the plant to the soil in maize and sugarcane. Okay. Plants with brightly colored flowers are usually pollinated by insects. Insects get attracted, they come, suck the nectar. During this process, pollen grains get attached to their body, and when the insect visits some other flower, or another flower of the same species, then it dusts the pollen grains, and there might be a chance of successful pollination to take place. Cone shaped roots that grow vertically upwards and come out of the ground are known as, they are called breathing roots, or they are also called as pneumatophores, where these roots grow vertically upwards. Okay, usually we know roots, they are positively gravitropic. That means they grow down uh, into the soil, deep down into the soil. But in some plants, the roots grow vertically upwards. That is seen in mangroves. They are called pneumatophores or breathing roots. Dash is an enlarged, roughly spherical shaped stem storing food. This we have already discussed. I'm sorry, maybe the question repeated. Tubers. Okay. In a dash leaf, the leaf blade is clearly divided into many parts in a compound leaf. Just now we have discussed, right? Where the leaf margin touches the midrib and divides the leaf blade into, if you see, if the margin is like this without touching the midrib, then this is called simple leaf only, because the leaf blade is only one, it is not divided. But if at all the margin touches, are you understanding, then what happens, the leaf lamina is divided into many small parts. Those we are calling them as leaflets, and such a type of leaf is called compound leaf. A simple leaf can be like this also. This is also a simple leaf. Okay. A flower usually has four parts: calyx, corolla, androecium, right? And gynoecium. Or calyx, corolla, stamens, pistils, or carpels. Okay. Reproduction is a two-step process. Yes. The first step is what? Pollination. And only when there is successful pollination, then can fertilization take place. Fruit is nothing but a ripened ovary. We all know that ovary develops into fruit and the ovules develop into seeds. Fruits may have one seed, yes, as seen in avocado, mango, or many seeds can be present in certain plants like papaya, watermelon, pumpkin, tomato, right? Dicotyledon plants have dash root system, tap root system. Potato is a modified stem because potato is the tuber part, which is the edible part, and it is modified stem. The green pigment of a leaf is chlorophyll. This we were discussing from unit 1. Small pores on the surface of leaf are called stomata. These stomata help in transpiration. Dash is the male part of a flower, stamens. And the stalk of the stamen is filament, and the fertile part or the part which is involved in reproduction is the anther, because anther contains pollen grains in them, and these pollen grains have the two male gametes, right? Female sex cells are present in dash of a flower. They're present in the ovule in a flower. If you remember, the pistil is consisting of ovary, style, and stigma, right? Inside the ovary, ovule is present. Inside the ovule, if you remember, I told you one female gamete is present. This ovary only later develops into fruit, and ovule only develops into seed, and this female gamete only fuses with the male gamete and forms zygote, which later develops into embryo, later gives rise to plantlet or sapling or seedling, whatever it is. Okay, so where is the female gamete present? Inside the ovule, right? Match the following. Stem modifications are given. We have to match it with the plants. Phylloclades, they are modifications of the stem, yes, and these are found in Opuntia, where here the stem performs photosynthesis. Thorns are found in rose. These are again modifications of stem. Tendrils, you have stem tendrils, leaf tendrils. In pea, you find leaf tendrils, but stem tendrils are found in grapevine. Again, they are for for support, so that the grapevine can easily climb and grow. Okay, offsets are stem modifications. These are like runners only, but they are found in aquatic plants. So water hyacinth. Runners, these are the stems which grow horizontally. Usually stems grow vertically above the soil, but here they are underground. They are subaerial modifications, runners, tolerance, and offsets, where they are in contact with soil and contact with air. And at every node, you see a plant arising. Okay, that's runner at short distances. And whereas in offset, it's occurs in aquatic water bodies. So runner is seen in doob grass. It is found in strawberries as well. What are stolons? How is stolon different from runner? Here also the stem grows vertically underground. Then what's the difference? Try to understand if this is the soil. Okay, soil is present. If the root is growing, sorry, if the stem is growing like this, it touches the ground, raises up, again touches the ground, touches the ground. Wherever it's touching the ground, a new plant starts arising from there. Okay, so you can see that here the stem is slightly arising from the soil. That's stolen. Okay, and these stolons are usually found in pudina or mint plant. Clear? Next, definitions are given. You have to match it with the terms. Try to understand. Part of the flower that produces pollen grains. Anther, right? Next. Green leaf-like structure protecting the inner parts of the flower. Sepals. Where are sepals? Or calyx, yes, calyx is group of sepals. So yes, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the flower. Pollination, root system where side roots develop from main primary root, that is taproot system. Next, fusion of male reproductive cell with the egg cell, fertilization. Parts of a flower that develop into seeds, ovules develop into seeds after fertilization, right? Point on the stem at which leaves arise, nodes. Wide flat portion of the leaf blade or lamina is the portion of leaf which performs basically photosynthesis. Ripened ovules after complete maturity or after fertilization, they develop into seeds. Ripened ovary, fruit. So it's very important after fertilization, ovary develops into fruit, and ovules, which are the small structures present inside ovary, they develop into seeds. Okay, they are post fertilization products, for products which are formed after fertilization. Next, one more is given here. Rhizome is modification of the stem and it is found in ginger, right? Taproot system, petiole is part of leaf. Stomata helps in respiration. Ripened ovary forms fruit. Stamen has pollen in it. Taproot is found in pea plant. Okay. So we know stamen is the male reproductive part. It has the pollen grains which have the two male gametes in them, right? And just now we discussed ovary gets ripened to form fruit. Petiole, it is the stalk of the leaf. Stomata, these are pore-like structures that help in exchange of gases, and even during respiration, they allow oxygen to be taken in by plants and to release carbon dioxide outside during respiration. Okay, they also help in during photosynthesis so that the plants can take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Rhizome, it is underground stem seen in ginger. Okay, not only in ginger, it's even found in turmeric rhizome, and even found in ferns, pteridophytes. Okay, now true or false. So you need to read the statements and mention whether the following statement is true or false. If it's false, let's try to correct the statement. Okay, in reticulate venation, veins are arranged parallel to each other towards the margin or tip of the leaves. That is false. It's not reticulate, it is in parallel venation, right? Next, the leaves of people trees are simple leaves. True. If you see the people leaves, which are slightly like this, you can see that they are basically simple leaves where the margins uh, do not touch the midrib and even the leaf lamina is undivided. It's true. The leaves of pea plant are modified into spines. False. They're modified into tendrils, not spines. The calyx is the outermost whorl of a flower. True. After fertilization, ovary becomes the seed. False. Ovary becomes fruit. That's how you can correct the sentence. Or ovule becomes the seed. Even that can be written. Cluster of roots of about the same size are present in the fibrous root system. True. The stem helps in absorbing water from the soil. False. Root helps in absorbing, right? Anther, style, and stigma are parts of a pistil. Pistil is the female reproductive part. How come male reproductive part came here? So statement is false. And what are the parts of pistil? Ovary, style, and stigma. Right? Ovules develop into fruits. False. How can I correct the statement? Ovary develops into fruits, or I can correct it as ovules develop into seeds. A stamen has a long stalk called style. False. Style is seen in female reproductive organ, that is in pistils or carpel. Stamen has a long stalk which we call it as filament. Right? Next. The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a flower is called pollination. So the statement is false. What is fertilization? Fusion of male and female gamete. The leaves of opuntia are modified into thorns. False. They are modified into spines. Thorns are modifications of stem. Okay. The flat green portion of the leaf is called leaf blade or leaf lamina. Both mean the same, so the statement is true. Okay. So next is choose the correct option. Which of the following is not a function of roots? Not they're asking. Okay. To absorb water and minerals, yes, it's the function. To anchor the plant to the soil, anchor means to fix the plant to the soil, yes. To to store food in it, yes. Roots store food in carrots and on tuberous roots. To manufacture food, no. So this is the correct option because that telling us to choose not a function of the root. Okay, the flower is borne on a short stalk called pedicel. We know petiole is the stalk of a leaf. Okay, filament is the stalk of stamen. Plumule, it is the portion which gives rise to root. So pedicel is the stalk of a flower. Which of the following roots give mechanical support to the plant? Prop roots, yes, in banyan, okay, or the stilt roots. They give mechanical support to the plant. The point on the stem where leaves arise, they are called node. Then what is internode? Distance between two nodes. Trunk, it is the wide portion or it is the portion which grows large in size in trees. Okay, this is the trunk in a tree. Bark is the outer covering of the tree. Okay, the wide flat portion of the leaf is called lamina. The calyx consists of sepals. Corolla consists of petals. Okay, and rhecium consists of anther or the stamens. The gynoecium consists of stigma, style, and ovary. Flowers with either male or female, either or, that means any one of it, they are called unisexual flowers. If both are there, then you can use the term bisexual, hermaphrodite. Both mean the same, bisexual and hermaphrodite. Okay. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is called pollination. Correct option. Okay. Which part of the flower gives rise to seeds? Ovules. Ovary gives rise to fruit after fertilization. Okay. So that's the end of this video where we discussed, like we summarized whatever we learned in this unit 3 structure and functions of plant, and even in order to uh, like for a better understanding of the concept or to make these concepts register in our brain, we have even solved few MCQs, fill in the blanks, match the following, and even true or false. I hope uh, you got clarified on the various topics that we have discussed in this unit. If you have any doubts, please feel free to comment it down in this video. And before solving the questions, it's better you watch all the parts from part 1 to part 5. Any doubts, do not hesitate. Feel free to comment them down, and then try to solve the questions. And solving questions basically helps to strengthen your concepts, and also you get to understand in which parts you basically are weak, and you can uh, again recapitulate those topics, right? So that's the end of this video. If you have any doubts, feel free to comment it down below, and please, if you like my content, share, like, and subscribe to my channel Biology Foundation, and enjoy the process of learning. Bye bye. Have a good day.